Before starting any electrical work, ensure the power is off at the main electrical panel. This is paramount for safety. To troubleshoot the open hot wire, begin by using a voltage tester or a multimeter to check for voltage at the ceiling light junction box. Place one probe on the hot wire, which is typically black, and the other probe on the ground wire, usually bare or green. If the tester indicates no voltage, it confirms that the hot wire is open somewhere in the circuit. Next, systematically trace the hot wire's path. Start from the ceiling light junction box, proceed to the switch box, and then continue towards the electrical panel. During this process, meticulously inspect for any signs of loose connections, damaged insulation, or broken wires. These are common culprits in older wiring systems. Consider using a continuity tester to assess the resistance of the hot wire. An infinite resistance reading indicates that the wire is indeed open, confirming the break in the circuit. Once you've identified the open hot wire, there are several options to consider for repair. Firstly, running a new BX cable represents the safest and most permanent solution. However, be aware that this approach typically involves cutting into walls and ceilings to install the new cable. Secondly, if the location of the open wire is readily accessible, splicing it back together is a possibility. This involves using a wire nut and electrical tape to reconnect the broken ends. However, it's crucial to understand that this solution should only be considered temporary. Eventually, the splice connection should be replaced with a new BX cable for long-term reliability and safety. Thirdly, using the hot wire from the switch box as a source to feed the circuit is generally discouraged, particularly as a permanent solution. Feeding a circuit from multiple sources can introduce significant safety hazards and is not a recommended practice. The ideal approach is to run a new BX cable to the ceiling light junction box. This ensures the safe and reliable connection for the future. It's important to reiterate a few key cautions. Never use a jumper wire to connect the hot wire from the switch box to the ceiling light junction box. This practice is unsafe and can create dangerous electrical hazards. Always verify all connections with a voltage tester before restoring power to the circuit. This step confirms that the wiring is correct and safe to energize. If you find that you're not entirely comfortable with any of these procedures, it's always best to seek assistance from a licensed electrician. Working with electrical systems can be dangerous, and a professional electrician has the expertise to ensure the job is done safely and correctly. The process of finding and fixing an open hot wire involves several steps. Firstly, turn off the power at the main electrical panel. Secondly, check for voltage at the light fixture. Thirdly, trace the hot wire. Fourthly, test for continuity. Fifthly, consider your repair options, which include running a new BX cable, splicing the wire, or using the hot wire from the switch box. Remember to prioritize safety and call an electrician if you are not confident in your skills. When working with older homes that are wired with BX cable, it's also prudent to inspect the condition of the existing wiring. Over time, the insulation on BX cables can deteriorate, leading to shorts and other electrical problems. If you notice any signs of damaged or brittle insulation, it may be time to replace the wiring altogether. This is especially true in areas that are prone to moisture or extreme temperatures. Regular electrical inspections can help identify potential problems before they become serious safety hazards. A qualified electrician can assess the condition of your wiring and recommend any necessary repairs or upgrades. Another aspect to consider when dealing with electrical issues is the capacity of the circuit. Ensure that the circuit breaker is properly sized for the load that it's serving. Overloaded circuits can cause the breaker to trip frequently, and they can also pose a fire hazard. If you're unsure about the appropriate breaker size, consult with an electrician. When running new BX cable, be sure to follow all applicable electrical codes and regulations. This includes properly securing the cable, using the correct connectors, and grounding the system. Failure to comply with these requirements can result in fines and other penalties. Additionally, it's crucial to properly ground all electrical outlets and fixtures. Grounding provides a path for electricity to flow safely to the ground in the event of a fault, which helps to prevent electric shock. If you're replacing old outlets or fixtures, make sure that the new ones are properly grounded. Remember that electrical work should be approached with caution and respect. If you're not comfortable working with electricity, don't hesitate to call a qualified electrician. Your safety and the safety of your home are worth the cost. It is important to remember that working on electrical systems can be dangerous, and it's always best to err on the side of caution. If you're not comfortable with any aspect of the repair, it's best to call a licensed electrician. They have the training and experience to safely and effectively address any electrical issues. Always follow safety precautions when working with electricity, such as turning off the power at the main electrical panel and verifying that the circuit is de-energized before working on it. Also, remember that this information is for general guidance only and should not be considered a substitute for professional electrical advice. If you have any specific questions or concerns, consult with a qualified electrician. The NEC, or National Electrical Code, is a widely adopted standard for safe electrical installations. It is updated every 3 years and provides comprehensive guidelines for electrical wiring, equipment, and systems. Adhering to the NEC helps ensure that electrical installations are safe and reliable. When working with BX cable, it's important to use the correct type of connectors and fittings. BX cable requires specialized connectors that provide a secure and grounded connection. Using the wrong type of connectors can compromise the safety and integrity of the electrical system. When installing new electrical outlets or fixtures, be sure to use the correct wiring gauge. The wiring gauge should be appropriate for the amperage rating of the circuit. Using undersized wiring can cause the wires to overheat and potentially start a fire. In general, 14-gauge wire is suitable for 15-amp circuits, and 12-gauge wire is suitable for 20-amp circuits. However, it's always best to consult with an electrician or refer to the NEC for specific requirements. When working with electrical panels, it's important to be aware of the potential hazards. Electrical panels contain live wires and components that can cause serious injury or death if touched. Never attempt to work on an electrical panel unless you are qualified and experienced to do so. The proper use of personal protective equipment, or PPE, is essential when working with electricity. PPE includes items such as insulated gloves, safety glasses, and arc-rated clothing. These items help to protect against electric shock, burns, and other injuries. Before starting any electrical work, always inspect your PPE to ensure that it is in good condition and properly rated for the task at hand. If you're working in a damp or wet environment, be sure to take extra precautions to prevent electric shock. Water is an excellent conductor of electricity, and even a small amount of moisture can significantly increase the risk of electrocution. Avoid working with electricity in wet areas, and if it's unavoidable, wear rubber boots and gloves to provide insulation. When replacing old electrical devices, be sure to dispose of them properly. Many electrical devices contain hazardous materials such as mercury and lead that can contaminate the environment if not handled properly. Check with your local waste management agency for information on how to dispose of electrical devices safely. Surge protection is an important consideration for protecting electronic devices from damage caused by power surges. Power surges can occur due to lightning strikes, power outages, or other electrical events. Surge protectors help to divert excess voltage away from sensitive electronic equipment, preventing damage. Consider installing surge protectors at the main electrical panel and at individual outlets to provide comprehensive protection. Ground fault circuit interrupters, or GFCIs, are life-saving devices that protect against electric shock. GFCIs monitor the current flowing through a circuit and quickly interrupt the power if a ground fault is detected. GFCIs are required in areas where there is a high risk of electric shock, such as bathrooms, kitchens, and outdoor areas. Test GFCIs regularly to ensure that they are functioning properly. Arc fault circuit interrupters, or FSIs, are designed to protect against fires caused by electrical arcs. Electrical arcs can occur due to damaged wiring, loose connections, or other electrical faults. FSIs detect these arcs and quickly interrupt the power, preventing a fire from starting. Assays are required in many areas of the home, such as bedrooms and living rooms. Smoke detectors are essential safety devices that provide early warning of a fire. Smoke detectors should be installed on every level of the home and tested regularly to ensure that they are functioning properly. Replace smoke detector batteries at least once a year. Carbon monoxide detectors are also important safety devices that protect against carbon monoxide poisoning. Carbon monoxide is a colorless and odorless gas that can be deadly. Carbon monoxide detectors should be installed near sleeping areas and tested regularly to ensure that they are functioning properly. Replace carbon monoxide detector batteries at least once a year. When planning any electrical project, it's important to obtain the necessary permits and inspections. Electrical permits ensure that the work is done safely and in compliance with local codes. Electrical inspections verify that the work has been completed correctly and that the electrical system is safe to operate. Contact your local building department for information on obtaining electrical permits and scheduling inspections. Remember, working with electricity can be dangerous. Firstly, turn off the power before working on any electrical circuit. Secondly, use the proper tools and safety equipment. Thirdly, follow all applicable codes and regulations. Fourthly, if you are not comfortable working with electricity, hire a licensed electrician. And fifthly, always double-check your work before turning the power back on. These simple steps can help prevent accidents and ensure that your electrical system is safe and reliable. When troubleshooting electrical problems, it's often helpful to start by identifying the symptoms. What exactly is happening or not happening? Are lights flickering, breakers tripping, or outlets not working? Once you have a clear understanding of the symptoms, you can begin to narrow down the potential causes. Next, gather as much information as possible about the circuit in question. What devices are connected to the circuit? What is the amperage rating of the circuit breaker? Are there any recent changes to the electrical system? The more information you have, the easier it will be to diagnose the problem. Once you have gathered the necessary information, you can begin to test the circuit. Use a voltage tester or multimeter to check for voltage at various points in the circuit. Look for loose connections, damaged wiring, or other obvious problems. If you find any problems, correct them, and then test the circuit again to see if the problem has been resolved. If you are unable to diagnose the problem yourself, it's best to call a licensed electrician. They have the training and experience to quickly and safely identify and resolve electrical problems. When hiring an electrician, be sure to check their credentials and references. Make sure they are licensed and insured, and ask for proof of their qualifications. A reputable electrician will be happy to provide you with this information. Before hiring an electrician, get a written estimate of the cost of the work. The estimate should include a breakdown of the labor and materials costs. Be sure to ask about any potential additional costs, such as permit fees or travel charges. Once you have hired an electrician, be sure to communicate clearly about your expectations. Explain the problem in detail and ask any questions you may have. The electrician should be able to answer your questions and explain the work they will be doing. During the work, be sure to stay out of the way of the electrician and keep children and pets away from the work area. After the work is completed, inspect the work to ensure that it has been done properly. If you have any concerns, discuss them with the electrician. A reputable electrician will be happy to address your concerns and make any necessary corrections. Remember, electrical safety is everyone's responsibility. By following these tips, you can help ensure that your electrical system is safe and reliable. The electrical system in a house is designed to distribute electrical power safely and efficiently to all the appliances and devices that need it. The system typically consists of a service entrance, a main electrical panel, branch circuits, outlets, switches, and lighting fixtures. The service entrance is the point where electrical power enters the house from the utility company. The main electrical panel is the central distribution point for electrical power in the house. It contains circuit breakers that protect the branch circuits from overloads and short circuits. Branch circuits are individual circuits that supply power to specific areas or appliances in the house. Outlets are the points where electrical devices can be plugged in. Switches are used to control lighting fixtures and other electrical devices. Lighting fixtures provide illumination for the house.